Today we are going to see about the Salesforce DevOps Center. So Salesforce DevOps Center is a tool that helps teams easily manage and deploy the changes in the different Salesforce orgs. It simplifies the process of change tracking, organizing, and moving the updates from the development to production environment. So this tool can take care of the complete development to production lifecycle deployment and change tracking. So we are going to see more about it. This tool is provided by Salesforce itself. So when coming to the difference between the Salesforce DevOps Center versus ChangeSet, every one of us are using ChangeSet for a long time. It is used for the deployment from the sandbox to the production and production to sandbox. All those things it supports. So now we have the Salesforce DevOps Center. So let's see the difference between the Salesforce DevOps Center and the ChangeSet. So first thing is source-driven development. So in the ChangeSet, we don't have any GitHub repository connected, but in the DevOps Center, we have GitHub repository connected. So we can track the old changes. We will get to know like what was the previous code, current code, all those versioning we can see. Next is pipeline automation. Automation is nothing but we can easily move the changes from one sandbox to another sandbox. All those things can happen. If we go to the change set, we need to create the outbound change set. Then we need to go to the destination org and we need to deploy the changes. So there are many steps are there. And the user interface compared to change set, it's DevOps Center is easy interface. And team collaboration, multiple teams can collaborate together and there can be better visibility of what all the changes are moving. So all those things we are going to see it in action in some time. And the last thing is compatibility and transition. So it's very powerful tool for the Salesforce release management process. So other than Salesforce provided Salesforce DevOps Center tool, we have many other tools which is available in the market, but we need to purchase and use it. If we need some more advanced capabilities, then that is provided by the Salesforce DevOps Center, we can go with these tools as well. I think you guys might have heard Copetto, Gearset, Flowsum, and Flowsum we are also using in some of our existing projects. So these are the DevOps tools, which makes the CI/CD process simple, means continuous integration and continuous delivery. Continuous integration means smoothly integrating between the sandboxes, and the delivery means up to production, which is integrated and it is delivered smoothly. So the topic that we are going to cover today, so we are going to install the DevOps Center in our production org, and we create the connected app, provide the access to the users, enable the source tracking for the sandbox, and connect the DevOps Center to GitHub, create project repository, set up pipeline. So many things are there, but it won't be boring. I have kept it very simple and fast session, even though there are a lot of terms are there, but when you guys see it, it's simple. So the first thing, let me go to the Salesforce org. So if we go to the Salesforce org, the first thing is DevOps Center. We need to do it in only production, because if we do it in the sandbox, when we refresh the production, then everything will be gone. So it's always it's supported in DevOps Center in production only. So in the setup, if we go to the DevOps Center, we can enable the DevOps Center. I have already enabled it. That's why it's showing enabled. This can be enabled only in the production org. And after that, we need to install one managed package from the App Exchange. By clicking the install package here, we can install the package. So I have taken the screenshot when I was doing it for your reference. So before enabling, it will look like this without enablement. This area is grayed out, and when we click install, I installed it for all the users. If only admin is going to use this package, then only for admin it's fine. So I selected for all users and I clicked install. So we enabled the DevOps Center and we installed the package. So once installed, we need to provide the access, relevant access. So for that, we need to go to the permission set. Let you guys know the purpose of this. So going forward, you need to start using the DevOps Center instead of change set. You need to start trying from the small things. Then once you get fully familiarized, you need to fully utilize the DevOps Center only. Don't use the change set. So it's application focused. It's not just now you learn this session and you leave it. You need to follow DevOps Center going forward. There are few considerations that we need to consider. I will explain that as well. So we need to go to the user and permission set assignment and edit assignment. So here DevOps Center Manager, DevOps Center Release Manager, these permission sets are related to the DevOps. And also we have these two permission sets. So we have the help article related to that for which permission set is having what permissions, all those things you guys can explore. For demonstration purpose, I have added all those permission sets. So once we added the permission sets for the user, if we go to the app launcher, we can see the DevOps application. So DevOps Center is the application name. So here I have already created one project actually. So we can create the project and we can create the changes inside that, like how we have the project management portal, we have the project, and inside the project we have the tasks. Same thing here also it follows. For the time consideration, I'm going to explain with the existing project that I have already configured, but I will also tell how to create the new project. So when we click on the new project, it will ask for the project name. And so when you are creating the first project, the screen will not look like this. The screen will look like this. So you can see in this screen, there is no project. When I click new project button, it is showing this screen. So this is doing is it's asking us to connect to the GitHub repository. So you need to have the GitHub account. So we need to have the GitHub account, that is the source control system. So Salesforce DevOps Center only supports the GitHub source control system for now. Bitbucket is in beta. So I already connected to my GitHub. So you need to first sign up to the GitHub, then you need to connect to the GitHub. So we are connecting the Salesforce DevOps Center with the GitHub account. So when we click on the connect to GitHub, first it will ask you to enter the GitHub username and password. So once that is entered, then it will ask for the authorization. So once you approved it, then it will be connected to the Salesforce. So now we saw how to connect the DevOps Center to the GitHub repository. After that, we can create the project. We need to enter the unique name and the repository owner. Okay. And we need to click here, create the repository for my project that uses the Salesforce DX project structure. So when we create the project, DevOps Center will automatically create the repository for this project in the GitHub. We can enable this option only. So DevOps Center only can take care of creating the repository. If we create the repository, then it may not follow the Salesforce DX project structure, and that can cause the issues. So don't use the use existing repository thing. You can just use the create repository for my project, and you can enter the project description and you can click save. So once that is saved, this is the view that you get it. You have the project name and you have the repository URL. So each project is connected to the repository in the GitHub, and this is the environment that we have configured. So when I open the project, let me go to the pipeline. Pipeline is the place where we can configure all the environments. So inside the pipeline, if we go to the environment, we can configure all the environments. So for our Winfomi org, this is the production, and this is the UAT and the development environment. But it can vary based on the org. So some org you may have the dev, QA, then UAT, then production. Dev for development, QA is for our internal QA testing, UAT is for client testing, and production is for the live environment. Here we don't have QA, we have only development environment, UAT production environment. Okay, so let me quickly create one project also. I can show you how it looks like at start. Just entering the project name, Winfomi demo project, and I am automatically allowing to the create repository, and this is the repository name, it will get created. So when I click save button, the project will get created. So this is the Winfomi demo project that I just got created. If you see it gets created, it shows everything as blank. It's showing the development environment, stage name, integration. Integration is nothing but for some clients, we can have multiple development environment that we have for the different purpose. So we need to connect all the development environment and move to the integration environment staging. Then it goes to the UAT, and in sometimes we may also have staging environment before the UAT, then production. So we can just delete unwanted ones like this. If we click the drop down and remove the stage, unwanted stage name, we can remove it. We can also do the renaming. So all those things we can do it. And we can connect it to the environment, and also we can connect it to the branch. So when we create the project, it's creating the repository, and for each stage name, it will have the separate branch inside the repository. So we can connect to the environment, and we can also specify the branch. So when we click the connect environment, it will ask whether it is production environment or sandbox that we need to connect. And it will ask you to enter the username password. After that, it will get connected. And for connect also, we need to connect to the GitHub repository. For that, we need to mention the branch name. What is the branch name that we need to keep? That's it. Same way, we need to connect to the production environment. So this is how it looks in the starting, and we need to modify and connect all the environments. So this is one-time work. After that, we need to activate it. So this is the project that I already created, and I already set it up the environment in the proper way, and I activated it. If you see production, I connected to production environment, and UAT I connected to the UAT sandbox, and development environment I connected to the dev2 sandbox. So this is how it is configured now. Okay, so the one important thing is before we can connect the sandbox to this DevOps Center, we need to enable the source tracking. If we don't enable the source tracking, we won't be able to track the changes. So that's why we may face the issue in configuring for the existing sandbox, because sandbox will get source enabled when we enabled in production only. So let me show you that steps. So if you go to the Dev Hub, there is one option called enable source tracking. Enable source tracking in developer and developer pro sandboxes. So this needs to be enabled. Then only DevOps Center can track the sources. Like changes. I will tell you like what is that. But this we can't directly enable it in the sandbox. So first we need to enable it in the production. Then after that we need to either refresh the sandbox or create the new sandbox. So then only this setting will be enabled in the sandbox. Okay, so I created this both the sandbox after enabling the source tracking. So I can show you guys the demo. So now the environment is set up. So next we have also seen about the source tracking. We saw till this point. Now we have work item. So work item, it is nothing but the task. Like currently we have the different tasks and we are working on the different tasks, right? So that's what is called work item in the DevOps Center. So we are going to see about one quick simple task actually now. Okay, so we have project task object in Salesforce, our org, and it is having start date field. It is not having any help text associated with that. So what I'm going to do, I am going to update the help text in the development sandbox, and I'm going to move the changes to the production using the Salesforce DevOps Center. That's what we are going to see it now. So let me create new work item. So this is the like new project task. So this is the task name that we received from the client. We created one work item for this. After that, we need to assign it to us and save it. So this is the work item we just now created. First, we need to select a dev2. So for this is the development environment we configured in the pipeline. So before starting the changes, we need to select this and we need to proceed. So when we select the dev2 sandbox and we click to proceed, work item will get automatically changed to in progress. So it's not replacement for the project task that you guys are doing or maintaining in the project management. So this you need to duplicate it for moving the change purpose. So development dev2 sandbox is there and it is in progress. Now let me open the dev2 sandbox and let me make the change. So I came directly from DevOps Center to dev2 sandbox. Now I'm going to do my development. So you are the developer, you created the work item and now you are start working on the changes. So the change is to update this help text in the project task started field. Okay, so this is the one of the change that we have done in the development sandbox. This we need to move to production. So this can be any change, any configuration, any flow, any Apex classes. Just for explaining purpose, I used the very simple use case. Okay, so now we have done the changes in the dev2 sandbox. We need to move to the production. So what we will usually do, this is kind of very small change. We will directly do it in production also manually. But if there are some flows and Apex classes are there, then we use the outbound change set and move to the UAT sandbox. Then we move to the production sandbox. So now let's see how simple we can do with the DevOps Center. So there are two ways to add the changes to the work item. So one is pull changes, another one is add a component manually. So I'm going to use the pull changes. So when I click pull changes, it's automatically pulling the changes that we did recently. So DevOps Center automatically identified, okay, these changes you have done and on this time. So it's correct. This is what I'm going to move it. So I'm just selecting this. So instead, if we use change set one, what we need to do, we need to click add components manually and we need to select the metadata type, then changes, all those things we need to do. So comment is mandatory for this actually. Maybe if there is any post deployment changes, all those things you can mention here. So till now, changes are in the dev2 sandbox. It's not moved to the GitHub repository. If you see, this is the GitHub repository. Inside the repository, it created on feature branch work item. So if you go to the GitHub repository also, you will see these changes. That is the source control system. So we are maintaining it in two places. So we can easily identify what are the changes are done. So when I click the commit changes, these changes will get pushed to this feature branch in the GitHub repository. So I click commit changes. So it is retrieving metadata from the dev2 sandbox and committing to GitHub repository. So if you see in production, help text is not there because we haven't not moved the changes to the production yet. So since this is a very simple change, it looks like it's time consuming, but when you have a lot of changes, it's really helpful. You don't need to go to the different screen and do the activities. So while it is committing the changes, let me explain some other things. So next we have in review. So once it is committed to the GitHub, it will automatically get changed to the in review stage. After that, what we need to do, we need to move to ready to promote. So when we move the work item ready to promote, after that that work item will go to the pipeline. It means the development is ready and it's good to proceed to the next environment. So that's what this ready to promote means. And once it is moved to the next environments, it will get changed to the promoted stage. So not it's taking some more than expected time now. Before it was fast actually. Let me try refreshing it. So this is the GitHub repository that got created automatically. When we create the project, it will automatically create the GitHub repository. And so this is the first app, like it follows the complete FZDX structure to create. So you have the code in Salesforce and also you have the code in GitHub. In both of the places, you have the code. So you can track the changes and GitHub will act as the source control system. So once that is committed and promoted, when we come to the pipeline, so that will come under this approved work item list. So after that, we can select that work item and move to UAT. Just we need to select item and click promote selected. Then it will come here. And from this, when we select the work item and again promote selected, it will go here. So this is how it will move automatically. So maybe let's create a new one. I don't think it's going to success. So we need to slowly start utilizing this. As we use, we may face some issues like how we are facing it now. So we need to slowly utilize it and understand, and based on that, we can continue enhancing it. So it's done. Pulled the changes. So we can click create review. So when we click create review, it goes to in review, and so we can move to ready to promote. Then when we go to the pipeline, so this will appear here. Once we move the work item to ready to promote, it will appear here. Then you can select here and click promote selected. So when we click promote selected, now it is moving from the dev sandbox to UAT sandbox. So this is what you usually do it using change set. So we are going to deploy only the changes which is not in UAT stage. And for now, I'm going to run default option. I'm not going to run any test classes because it just help text update. So I'm clicking promote. So now it is moving to UAT sandbox. So what it will do, it will fetch the changes from the GitHub repository, then it will push to UAT. It's not like it's fetching from the dev sandbox and pushing. So GitHub will act as source control system. Okay, done. It's moved already. It's moved to UAT sandbox. So fast. We don't need to create any change set. Then again, I'm clicking this and I'm clicking promote selected. When I click promote selected, it will go to production. So let me refresh and show you guys. So there is nothing. So now I'm clicking promote selected. So now it's deploying to the production. I'm just selecting the default option. So now it is deploying to the production. So always when you are moving the changes now, you just have to add all the components and just initiate it, and you need to do some work in parallel. It will take some time, but it's not like rework how we do it in change set, doing multiple things. So just a simple task, and while it runs, we can do some other work in parallel. We don't need to keep on seeing the screen and waiting for it. Okay, great. So now it moved the changes. Actually, two changes was promoted, like whatever I did to old one and this one, all both are promoted. This one I moved already, and now I moved this one. So we have also easily seen the things, okay, whatever the things which is moved to the production. So now let me refresh this page and see if help text is updated. Okay, great, it's updated. So now you can see like we didn't even open the UAT sandbox, but we did all the process. So for the simple changes, we don't need to do many manual changes and all. And for big changes also, it's very simple. We don't need to create the change set, and sometimes we miss it. And also changes are not in place in all the sandboxes correctly. So when we follow this streamlined approach of moving the changes, all the sandbox is aligned with the latest changes, and also we can track the changes easily from the version control system. We can even have the approval process, like once approved in the GitHub, then only it can move from the dev sandbox to EAT sandbox. All those kind of approval also we can have it. But most of the time, this simple process is enough for us. So we covered all the topics, from installing the DevOps Center to moving the changes and deploying it in the production. Okay, guys, thank you everyone.